Good day, everyone. I am Danica Elaine F. Kaunga from BSTM 1B, and I am here to discuss the two topics that assigned from me, and that is the type of plans used by managers and the planning tools and techniques. So first, I am going to discuss the first topic, and that is the type of plans used by managers. So there are two type of plans that manager use. The first one is the short-term plans, and the second one is the long-term plans. What is short-range or term plans? Short-range or term plans is defined by the characteristic of an organization, such as skills and attitude of employees. In the workplace, managers devise strategies on how to improve this characteristic in the short term to meet long-term goals. Short-range plans generally apply to a specific time frame in which specific series of operation will be carried out and assessed and measured. So, ang short-term planning ay nagfo-focus on the immediate period, especially in reference to revenue and profitability. So, ang vision ng short-term planning ay mahalaga to satisfy the inventors who want to see the result or improving company's bottom line. Pero, ang corrective action will have an impact on the long-term objective as well. So, ang long-range or term plans naman ay arguably the most crucial to the continued success of a business, ultimately highlighting the way in which operations interact to achieve long-term profitability and returns to the investments. As corporations grow in size and complexity, so the long-range plans that constitute the interaction of an individual processes. The goals set in the long-term planning are less likely to be changeable due to the consensus of management team needs when creating them initially. So, kung sa short term ay may immediate time period, sa long term naman ay it focus on achievement for project future. It evaluates the threats of the company that may face in terms of social, economic, and political situation, both locally and globally. So here's the relationship between short-term planning and long-term planning. Planning is the most crucial part of a business. Basically, short-term planning drives a company to find sustainable solutions and in certain cases. Short-term planning will enable the company to handle drastic or unintended changes. Short-term and long-term planning don't usually have the same parameters, but the objectives remain the same. Short-term plans are always changes to adapt the current situation, but long-term plans are remain constant. However, sustainable solution taken from the short-term concerns that will lead the organization to achieve the long-term goals easily. So in other words, ang short-term ay stepping stone lang na nagko-contribute to achieve the long-term goals. So, here is the difference between short-term and long-term planning. So, ginawa ko na siyang table para mas madaling matandaan. In definition, short-term is a type of planning that aims for an immediate period which is less than 1 year time frame. While in long-term is a type of planning that focus on achieving objectives which are set for the project future. In duration, short-term planning is immediate action, while in long-term it takes 1 to 5 years. In concerns, short-term plans concerns with need immediate action, and long-term is company stability top line and bottom line of the company. In related issues, short-term most internal issues, and while in long-term is both internal and external issues. And last, in nature of goals, the short-term is straightforward, while the long-term is complex and tactical. So in this slide, we have major types of organization planning. So the first one is strategic plan. It is a plan or a tool define where your organization wants to go and what actions you will take to achieve those goals. So, ang strategic planning ay isang proseso kung saan dinedefine ng mga leaders sa isang organization yung kanilang vision for the future, the goals, and also the objectives. And also, it is the process include establishing the sequence in which those goals should be realized. so that the organization can reach its stated vision. So number 2 naman is tactical plan. It is a planning that takes your company's strategic plan and uses it to drill down to specific short-term actions and plans that can be divided up between your teams depending on their function. Naturally, the life cycle of these tactical plans is much shorter than the strategic plans. So, companies and teams frequently use this type of plan when they have long-term goals that extended further than 2 or 3 years. Number 3 is operational plan. It is the process of turning your strategic plan into a detailed map that outlines exactly what action your team will take on a weekly or sometimes even daily basis. So the purpose of this plan is to provide organization personnel with a clear picture of their tasks and responsibilities in line with the goals and objectives contained within the strategic plan. And lastly, contingency plan is a course of action designed to help an organization respond to an event that may or may not happen. So, this type of plan naman po ay also known as Plan B, is a plan devised for an outcome other than that in the usual plan. It is often used for risk management for an exceptional risk that, although unlikely, would have catastrophic consequences. So now we're going to proceed on my part 2 on my presentation, and that is the planning tools and techniques. So first, what is planning? Planning is a function of management that involves setting objectives and determining course of action for achieving those objectives. So, planning requires that managers be aware of environmental conditions facing the organization and forecast future conditions. So we have a planning process. As you can see, in step number 1, developing awareness of the present state. So, ibig sabihin, dinadetermine nito kung ano ba ang kalagayan ng isang organization or company na kung saan ka nabibilang ngayon. What are your strengths, weaknesses, and resources? Ano ba yung dapat commitments na gagawin ng mga members of the certain organization? At the same time, ano yung vision natin sa future para sa further progress, improvement ng organization? So number 2, establishing outcome statements. For example na lang dito ay yung mga interpreter or mga business owner. Bakit ba sila nagtatayo ng isang business? Of course, to have malaking income at mapalago yung business nila in the future. So in premising, in this step of planning process, managers or leaders of an organization establishes premises or assumptions on which they will build actions and statements that quality and success of any plan which depends on the quality of a underlying assumption. In this type naman ng plan ay parang magpipredict tayo kung ano yung mga pwede nating ma-encounter as we go to the planning process. And syempre, hindi naman magiging successful ang isang plano kung hindi tayo maka-encounter ng mga problems and risk. And however, magiging associated nito sa forecasting and mamaya madidiscuss natin yun. So, number 4, action statement. Sa action statement naman, ano yung mga gagawin natin kapag naka-encounter tayo ng mga problems or risk? Ano ba yung mga plano na gagawin para ma-avoid natin ito or maiwasan? Number 5, formulating supportive plans. Ito ay pwede nating i-associate sa isa sa mga techniques natin mamaya. Ito yung tinatawag natin na contingency plan or plan B. So, ibig sabihin naman dito, what if maka-encounter tayo ng mga failure or risk? And mga plano natin, yung mga course of action natin ay hindi maging matagumpay. Ibig sabihin, ano yung mga gagawin natin para ma-solve yun. So, doon na papasok yung ika-fifth na process, which is formulating supportive plans or such as contingency plan. So, here are the tools used in successful planning. So, first one is forecasting or forecasting planning. It refers to the practice of predicting what will happen in the future by taking into consideration events in the past and present. So it is a decision-making tools that help businesses cope with the impact of the future's uncertainty by examining historical data and trends. So forecasting is valuable to business because it gives the ability to make informed business decisions and develop data-driven strategies. And past data is aggregated and analyzed to find patterns. So it used to predict future trends and changes it allows to your company to proactive instead of reactive. So number two is contingency planning. It is the overall process of planning of preparing for unexpected events. It is how organizational planners position their organization to prepare for, detect, react to, and recover from the events that threaten the security of information, resources, and assets. The main goal of this plan is to restore the normal modes of operation with minimum cost and disruption to normal business activities or after unexpected events. So, as I discussed earlier, the contingency plan is a plan B that often used for risk management and exceptional events or risk. So, it helps the organization respond to an event that may or may not happen. So number three is scenario planning. This is a process of planning or analyzing possible future events by considering alternative possible outcomes or scenarios. It is making assumption on what the future is going to be and how your business environment will change over time in light of the future. So this type of plan naman helps your business agile and able to adapt to multiple eventualities. It reveals the outcomes of key business variables, both internal and external changes, such as supply chain issues, company restructuring, or raw material costs. Increases can be responded to in a rapid and accurate manner. So number four is benchmarking. The same process where you measure your company's success against competitors to discover how to improve your performance. It is an important tool for companies to help them improve and stay competitive in the marketplace. So, the goal naman ng plan na to is to make continuous improvements and implement changes in business products, methods, and services. Therefore, benchmark marketing practices provide a better understanding of customer wishes and expectations because customers are the most important data source at every stage of comparison. So, number five, or the last in planning, is top planning. It is the process of making sure you have the right people in your organization now and in the future to carry out the work needed for business success. So it is critical because it enables an organization to identify the right employee or right talent to meet the set of business goals. Establishing a strategy that complements to a workplace. So that is the end of my presentation. I hope you learn and understand about my topic. So that's all. Thank you.